In this month's episode of Photo of the Month, I'm going to share the story behind one of my favorite and most important photos of all time. But before I share that story behind the photo, I need you to understand why a photo like this is so special to me. And that means I got to bring you all the way back to 2009, when I first met legendary street photographer Jamel Shabazz. Now, I had known about Jamel's work from early on because I grew up in the era of hip-hop in like the 80s and 90s. But it wasn't until 2001 when I picked up his first book back in the days that I started to understand just how incredible and powerful his images really were. So fast forward to 2009 when I got the chance to meet Jamel Shabazz right here in Toronto. He was part of a group show called 3 Generations of Portraiture, alongside two of my friends and Toronto legends, Che Katari and Steve Cardi.
Che Katari, I'm here exhibiting photography at the Jerome Jenner Smash Gallery.
My name is Steve Cardi, photographer from Toronto. My name is Jamel Shabazz, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Now, during that event, Jamel was gracious enough to do an interview with me. And later on, he actually stopped by the community program that I was running and hosted a free street portraiture workshop for the kids.
So one of the things I want to remind people the importance of loving one another, the importance of family, and the importance of documentation. And my ultimate goal is to inspire a new generation of visionaries to pick up cameras. I want to make photography popular, like basketball and like rapping. I want young people to say, you know what, I want to be a photographer.
Now, I didn't know it at the time, but meeting Jamel and seeing his honest approach to documenting the culture would inevitably leave a lasting impression on me. I loved the way that he celebrated people's unique style, captured their attitudes, and highlighted important themes like love, struggle, family life. All those things really resonated with me. So this is like a full circle moment for me to be able to pay homage to one of the greats that influenced my work. So shout out to Jamel Shabazz, man. Thank you for inspiring us. Now let's get into the story behind my favorite photo. Okay, so there's a lot of layers to how this photo came to be, and the importance would play out for me later on, which I'll definitely get to, but let me start at the beginning of the story. So this photo was actually taken in New York City back in the summer of 2021. I was in New York as part of a group photography exhibit with Street Dreams magazine. Shout out to my boy Steve Sweatpants for holding me down. But yeah, like I said, I was there and I reached out to my boy Sen, who happens to be a really dope Brooklyn-based photographer, and I just wanted to see if he would hit the street and shoot. Now, the crazy thing about this was it was our first time meeting in person, because up until then, we were just quote-unquote internet friends. Now, we couldn't travel because of the pandemic, and this was the first time I was able to leave Toronto in like 2 years. And this was also the first time that I ever got to shoot New York properly. And I thought it'd be an amazing opportunity to actually shoot the street with someone who lives in New York. Now, I'm not gonna lie, shooting in New York can be intimidating, definitely overwhelming to say the least, but I pushed myself to get the types of photos that spoke to me. Which brings me back to my favorite photo. I was walking down the street and I spotted this father and son duo, and I knew it had the potential of being a special photo, but you never know until you get close enough. Now, I took a couple candids as I was approaching, but I knew these two deserved to be captured properly. So I had a quick convo with the father, and I just asked if it was cool if I take their photo, and he was like, yeah man, do your thing. So at that point I was like, this is incredible. I took a step back and I tried to compose my image. And at first I tried to capture the American flag in the background. I thought that might add something to the story, but eventually I cropped the image to focus on what matters most, which is obviously the people. Now, I crouched down to be eye level with the kid, which provides more of an intimate connection for the viewer. Plus, by shooting from a lower angle, it allowed the father to look powerful, but still comfortable while he was looking away from the camera. Now, to the average viewer, they might not know if this was a candid shot or if I asked for permission, and I kind of like that. Everything about this photo has traces of Jamel Shabazz in it. Even if I wasn't thinking about Jamel's work in the moment, you can tell subconsciously his influence is there. From the location, to the people, to the pose, the family relationship. Even the masks acting like a fashion accessory with the fake Supreme and Louis Vuitton logos all over it. I think all of that combined with the idea of converting the color image to black and white made it just feel right. I feel like a lot of my work has been influenced by photographers like Jamel Shabazz or Dawood Bey, Gordon Parks, Andre Wagner, and I think it all comes down to that honest connection with people. Now, I mentioned earlier that this photo was not only one of my favorites, but that it was also very important to me. And that's because it took on a life of its own. Normally, when it comes to street photography, you never really know where a photograph is going to end up. A lot of times, photos just end up taking space on our hard drives, or if you're a film photographer, you might have an archive of negatives that never end up seeing the light of day. But in this case, my photo became part of a collaborative photo book with my boy Sen from New York. Together, we hosted a book launch and gallery exhibit in Toronto and New York, and I was able to exhibit my photo in both cities. Now, my photo was also featured in a magazine interview, and eventually I entered my image into the Lens Culture Street Photography Contest. Now, although I didn't place, I did receive some positive feedback from a jury member who said, "This image has such a classic quality to it. It reminds me of the great street photography that came out of NYC in the 60s through the 80s. The gestures of the two people in the photograph are wonderful, and I love your choice to get down to eye level with the child and photograph from that vantage point." Hearing that type of feedback was literally everything for me. Alright, so I hope this month's episode showed you how legendary photographers like Jamel Shabazz have the ability to not only inspire, but influence generations of up-and-coming photographers like me. Now, I'd love to know some of the photographers who inspire you and your work. So if you get a minute, please leave a comment in the comment section below and drop the name of a photographer you think I should check out. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.